The all new, right? It's just some word that nobody would ever come up to you and say. Together now, we are selling ourselves. Thanks for everybody for being here. This is our first remote podcast we've ever done. Something new we're trying with the Real Edge Network, something to bring to our agents and to have some entertainment for all of us to gather and hopefully learn something. I certainly have quite a bit to learn, and I'm going to introduce my buddy Jelani Hawkins here in a second. First, we want to thank our sponsors because we couldn't do it without our sponsors today. I just want, did we block the door yet? Because my wife will be sneaking in here in a moment. So,
No, don't lock it. Don't lock it yet.
no. If we lock my wife out, I'll be in real trouble. So
you might get locked out,
right? Well, anyway, so let's just get started. So, for those that don't know, this is my good friend Jelani Hawkins, who played with the Houston Texans so long ago when that franchise was starting. He was kind enough to be our guest for our first podcast. We've never done anything like this before at the Real Edge Network, and we thought, why not? Everybody's podcasting. Let's get one started. So with the blessing of Bob and Paige Martin, we created this podcast, and we thought Hawk would be a fantastic first guest. Somebody who obviously has tons of stories from his time in the NFL, but has new stories from the real estate market, doing things on the mortgage side now, right?
Yeah. The stories can get interesting in the mortgage lending space. Just getting creative and trying to help people get qualified for lending, whether it be for first time buyers, single family investors, or even bigger projects. It can get a little funny.
We're going to talk about that. I want to start though. I want to go back to some of the early days of football. I mean, coming in here to Houston, playing for the Texans. Can you take us back to that early days when we had this expansion team and people didn't know Houston was going to come back?
It was crazy. One of the things about coming here, and I tell my friends about this all the time, because a lot of those guys had moved, moving different suburbs, Missouri City, Siena, and Pearland. But from by the stadium on up and down 288, it was nothing but woods, just trees, right? And I used to be like, man, I wonder how much all this stuff costs. And they'd be like, bro, what are you talking about? All my friends, they used to, when I was younger, they would say I said crazy things. And then as I gotten older, they're like, you're really kind of smart. Like you were being forward thinking. But that's one of the main things I remember, just being here, what is it now, 25 years ago? How much the city has changed, how much it's growing, how much the real estate market is, and just the development of commercial and residential real estate. But playing football here in Houston was a fun experience, and still having a lot of those relationships from ownership down to old teammates. And one of my really close friends who I knew these guys before, his brother really is Devin Pitts, Chester Pitts' younger brother. And then we ended up being in the same draft class, which is how we met. He was like, man, you got to meet my boy OC. He cool as hell. So we used to, when he was working at the news station, I would come up there on Fridays and just kind of hang out, and we've been kind of hanging out ever since.
That's right. Having a good time, playing some golf. We do a lot of golf. If you guys want to come for a round and hang out, we have a good time. You mentioned relationships from your playing days, and I think that's an important one. This business, as you guys know, I'm very new at this, but it seems it's so relationship driven.
Mm-hmm.
How important have those football relationships been to you after your playing days?
I got friends that invest and buy real estate, and they trust me. They know what, my track record and entrepreneurship is, and just being honest and transparent. So, and they're like, Hawk is smart. He's going to explain it to you. I'm explaining to you how you can best receive the information, right? And so having those relationships and then learning, because I think what gets missed in team sports, whether youth sports, high school, collegiate or professional, is the piece where you learn interpersonal skills and how to actually network in the locker room. Because it is essentially a network of, in college, you're talking about 100 different dudes from 75 different places. So you, whether you understand it or not, or you paying attention, you networking the entire time, and fostering those relationships and maintaining good relationships from 26 years ago also become, profitable. I was joking on Friday, I played with Travis Johnson and Andre Johnson and Spencer Johnson. Spencer didn't play for the Texans, though he played in Buffalo for 9 or 10 years. But having those relationships, guys asking about real estate, and then being able to be a part of their purchases is pretty cool.
Were you a natural? I get because we've been friends 10 years. I get the sense that you were kind of a natural in the locker room.
Yeah, I was. I was like one of the funny guys and big personality in the locker
For
room.
the
Just
same
like
stuff that on the course that I
the
that I,
same
that I
the same
feel from you, your teammates.
the same witness, the same thing you feel on the golf course. Yeah, I'm gonna give everybody a hard time, but it's from a place of love.
Right.
I always tell people it's typically if I don't talk to you, it's probably because I don't want to deal with you. I don't fool with you. Just to be honest.
If he's quiet, that's when you got to worry,
Yeah.
right? Something that I wanted to ask you about that I've been curious about, and we've never talked about this, so I thought this was a great forum to bring it up. I've heard so many horror stories over the years of shady people that come to pro athletes.
Oh
like,
yeah.
you guys are just, the richest guys on earth. Can you give us some insight onto like how some of that happens? How do these snakes work their way in? What kind of crazy deals have you guys been approached with over the years?
You know, not me so much, but more so my friends that were more higher earners than I was playing sports and just having an eye out for that kind of stuff, which is kind of what led into me mentoring younger athletes that are currently on rosters over the last 10, 15 years is just being able to kind of be a caddy for them, so to speak. So we're talking about golf in a way where, you got to learn how to, because when you're young and you got money, you like, oh, somebody's showing me a P&L or a deck for a project they have coming up, and you got, just you think you have disposable income. It's not as disposable as you think it is because that money has to last for quite some time, right? But there's a lot of people out here who will be sharks, so to speak, to they do shady things to fund their own projects and things that they have and lifestyles that they have going on. They don't really care about who they affect, and it if you're not really paying attention, you can get caught up in it. But I think having older guys in the locker room and veterans and people that can help you vet deals or send you to the right people or people that they've had success in dealing with, then I think that's where it goes. But I think it goes back to the older guys in the locker room and guys when they're done playing, it's reaching back to the younger guys to be like, hey, watch out for this. This is what you should be looking out for. Here's who I've used in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I've been successful doing, or the people that I've been successful doing things with. And as time grows and the game grows and it expands, it's getting more to that versus how shady it used to be, because now you got information. Before, you got the dude come to you in the suit and he's telling you all these phenomenal things. You couldn't just come out and ask ChatGPT who he is or Google it or put their name in a search engine or see him on social. So now
They got to do a lot more.
they got to
work,
do
don't
a
they?
lot
Yeah.
more work to be shady.
Was there anybody for you back then in the locker room that you remember? You say that person really took me under that wing and took me under their wing and made a difference in my life.
One I played with and one that I didn't play with. One is Gary Walker, who played for the Texans. He actually played for the Oilers as well, and just a country dude, really smart, and talking about tax strategies and buying land. And I mean, he owns probably over collectively all his properties, 10 to 15,000 acres, down in South Georgia and Carolina. And he, is a big rancher and into that kind of things. And then Ephraim Salam, from a business standpoint, he really, really, really sharp, really cool, laid back, but he also has great information and great relationships.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So those were two guys to this day.
100%. Yeah.
For sure. Talk a little bit about leaving football and then eventually landing in this mortgage business that you landed in.
I think that the main thing that people don't really realize, and when y'all watching sports on TV, that these are essentially kids. Like, these dudes are between 18 and, depending on what sport you're watching, 18 to 25 years old. And you're like, well, why would he make these dumb decisions, or why would he do this? It's like, what would you do if somebody gave you $200-300 million? I mean, as a young 20-year-old or a teen, right? And but the reality of it is that 90% of those guys they don't get to choose when you leave the game. I didn't get the game chose when they wanted me to leave. I didn't get to choose, like the small percentage of guys who get to go on a retirement tour and do the whole deal. But in saying that, these young guys, they hadn't really found themselves. I mean, I don't think most people find themselves in their early 20s, and then you're trying to figure out what to do. It's like, I just went from making a couple $100,000 a year to kind of not never being on a job interview and don't know how to interview and, don't really have or didn't use my network properly when I was there and not going to booster functions or team events. And, because most of the time, guys, I'm too cool. I got something else better to do. I'm going to go back to my nice condo like the one we in, right, and hang out versus going to some of these events.
But they're missing opportunity.
They're missing a lot of opportunity. Yeah. And that's one thing I urge guys to, like, look, if the team is having events, go. If the boosters are having events, go. If these guys want to go play golf, I urge a lot of these young guys to go play golf. My buddy Spencer, his son KK, he just turned 18 this past week, and he spent the whole spring at A&M. He was an early graduate, and he plays football. He's a really good football player, and it's funny because he'll skip, like his friends will be going out, they doing graduation prom stuff. And it was funny because he had prom and they were going to do this was last week, doing an after prom type deal party. And he went home early because we had a 7:30 tee time and he wasn't gonna miss it. He's already meeting other guys who play golf. And he was at school for about 2 weeks and he came back to play with us and he had an A&M golf shirt on. He was like, he calls me Mr. Hawk. He said, Mr. Hawk, I did what you told me to do. I went and met the guys on the golf team. I traded them out some football merch. They gave me some golf merch. I got some Pro Vs, and all he wants to do now is play golf because one of my friends, her son, their sons are his roommates. They're roommates together. And she said, every time I go up to College Station to see Michael, I never see KK. Every time I ask the roommates where he is, they either say he's on the golf course or he's at the driving range. But, a lot of these guys want to go play or go do social things, and guys don't want to do it. But then when the career is over, they want to be able to, mingle with those guys. You could already have these relationships, but the transition is tough if you don't have a network, right? And the other part of the transition is guys who, because it's not like this for everybody, but it happens a lot, and they're not used to hearing the cheers anymore, right? Nobody's want to call you and ask you for tickets because you're not the cool guy because you don't have access to go to games and all that sort of stuff. But I always urge guys, like, when you get an off season, find out what you like, do what you like, and don't let what your peers have going on kind of dictate what it is that you want to do. If you want to be an artist or you want to paint or you into music and you want to play, do what you do in the off season. And so that once it's done, it's going to be a natural transition in what you want to do.
Did you always have a real estate bug in you? I mean,
Yes.
Clearly you were looking at Highway 288 and the trees going, somebody should buy this property.
Yes, I did. Because, growing up in L.A., you see development, right? See how the neighborhoods are changing. It was like I was telling my wife the other day, I got to see gentrification 20 years before it happening in LA, growing up in Inglewood and what it used to be, to what it is now. In order to even put SoFi up and the residents around there, they took a portion of the park I grew up in where the Little League baseball fields were, and they turned it into residences, and then they came and they started to redo Hollywood Park Casino. And then SoFi came in and they made the purchase of the land, and they erected what now is the SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. But the form, the first thing I saw, which kind of sparked something in me in Inglewood, is the form. They painted it blue and they changed it to MSG. It was owned by Madison Square Garden, and they used to just hold concerts there in LA. And the area started to change. And then I'm here and I'm like, the same thing is really starting to happen here. And I mean, even from where your studio was, it's it looks totally different.
It's an Irvington and 45 on the north side. We have a studio there.
Yeah, it's totally different than what it used to be in.
So you saw that as a kid then?
Yeah, I saw it as a kid.
Grown up, then you look around.
But you come to Houston. I lived on T.C. Jester and Tidwell, in a new construction in 2007. Washington Avenue wasn't what it was, and guys would come over my house and they like, man, you live over here by all these warehouses and it's mechanics and all this, and that at the time, that condo, that townhome, 3-story townhome was $225,000. That same 3-story townhouse over there is like a $800,000 townhouse now, and you can't even get in on Washington if you want to live in the Heights. Not a new construction because there's nowhere else to put it, right?
Uh-huh.
And my friends were like, And I'm like, well, y'all paying $1,500 in rent for a nice apartment, in and around the loop, but at the time you can get a $220,000 mortgage loan, and I got a brand new house that I'm living in, and y'all, and I mean, just thinking about it at the time, and I wish I would have never exited it early, but
And live and learn, right?
you live and learn.
How are we doing on time? We're doing pretty good so far. Does anybody have any questions? I want to open the floor, but take a quick pause, and we've got a microphone. If anybody has any questions for Hawk, here, do you mind taking the mic, Paige?
So clearly, Hawk, you have used your ability to tell stories to build trust with your clients
100%.
in the mortgage business. Can you talk a little bit about that? And then, Owen, will you also talk about how you crafted stories? Because so many of us we've watched you for so many years and had a trust relationship with you every time we turned on the TV. So what is it of how you craft stories that enable the audience to dive in and trust you to do business?
For me, I use stories to kind of help paint pictures for people, and use them as references of what could and could not happen, or just to give them more options, especially when you're shopping for a mortgage loan, right? And I think a lot of times people don't know and I was telling Owen this earlier about the flexibilities and what you can do, and everybody's like, oh, the interest rates are high, and it's like, I've been saving all my money, and I know I want to put down $100,000 on my house to make it, because of a certain payment. And I'm like, well, how about you save some of that 100, buy the rate down to where you want it to be, and save an extra 50, 75K in your pocket versus just dumping it into your house. And you can put it in a whole nother instrument that you can get 10 to 12%, 8, 12, percent passive income from. So I just use it, yeah, like you say, to build trust and just kind of camaraderie, because you don't know what similarities that you'll have. I had a client call me, and I was on my way to Myrtle Beach for 7 days to play golf last month. And my wife was like, don't you need to work on this deal? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm texting and talking to her. But when I talked to her, she said my buddy who referred her is one of my golf buddies. I heard you going to Myrtle Beach. Yeah, I played here, I played there. So now I'm as I'm walking to the gate to get on my flight, we're exchanging, talking about what different golf courses we played across the country. And you just don't know that you're talking to I'm not gonna say older, a middle-aged Asian lady who loves golf just as much as I do. But if you don't tell these stories, or you don't have the stories to tell, there wouldn't have been a common ground. And then now she understands the trust aspect of it, and how my buddy talks about me on the golf course. And because a lot of times golf is it's like on an honor system, right? You're supposed to tell me what your score is. I shouldn't have to count your strokes and be like, no, you had a 7 and you told me you had a 4. And I'm just really, really honest on the golf course. I think that's why a lot of people deal with me. But in that particular instance, as she was saying how much she loves the golf, and she lives in Vegas and all these nice courses she's played, and it just makes the transaction a lot easier.
You really connect over stories.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that's what, obviously, on the news, we're telling a lot of negative stories and a lot of other people's stories, but there's stories nonetheless. I think something that, maybe will be helpful, some of the questions I get now that I'm done with television and working in real estate, is how can I make my real estate videos better? And just in the short time I've been doing this, I can already see the trends. You can already see the certain styles that people are doing. And I think my best advice, especially with visual storytelling, is, and the time you have to capture someone's attention has dropped drastically. I mean, it used to be over a second. Now, the last estimate I heard was a third of a second. So that's maybe enough time to blink.
I'm a fast scroller.
Right? So you would attest to that.
I'm a fast scroller. But OC and I were on the golf course. We were talking about this, and he was asking, like, what you think I can do to generate more, more traction with my real estate? I was like, the same thing you've been doing the last 20 years. People have been seeing, being yourself. And every time he calls me, I answer the phone, go, hump day. And I'm like, it's like a tagline. It's like your thing now. So it's like, just, be yourself. But be yourself very fast.
No,
yeah.
That was a
I was
very
like,
honest
do what you
answer.
do. I said, you got all the equipment. You have any and everything you need to do everything that everybody's trying to do as far as in digital media spaces, I mean, you have it.
So it is the irony of it. Like, I've done it for so long. It's like, is there anything else I can do? Well, maybe I need to do this, right? Maybe you got to do what you're good at.
Steph and I were riding the other day, and I was telling her, I said, because she was like, where did he get these pictures from? I said, he took these pictures, these headshots. He probably has them in a file. And I said, his studio, the way it's set up, I said, Steph, he had a podcast studio. This is in 2014, 2015. And he was like, I'm like, podcast studio? He was like, this is going to be, just trust me, this is going to be the future. This is what it's going to turn into. Everybody's going to be going to this. And he and Richie had podcast studios and all the stuff that everybody wants to do now. They had it already and already had the setup. And I'm like, all you got to do is keep doing what you're doing. You've already, you took steps to doing it, already. So.
Well, here we are. And here we are doing a podcast now together.
Right, together.
I did rope you in, which is
You
awesome.
did.
But think back, always think back to that first third of a second. And when we're talking about a visual medium now, it's what you're seeing, it's potentially what you're reading. Very few words, long headline. If they have to read more than 2-3 words, they're going to miss it. So I say, start with whatever the best image is. For some of you, that's just you. You guys are beautiful. Show yourselves. Stand there. Have a good photographer take your picture. Sometimes it is the property, and ideally it's both. I don't know if that helps a little bit. But that's the one thing I've noticed, It's like,
and if you, especially in real estate, and you forward facing and you're in sales, so you have personality and the confidence to go out. You know how much confidence you have to sell somebody something that's $500,000? To sell somebody something that's $150,000, right? And that same personality is all you have is what you should do. As far as, putting it on video. I get fussed at about my wife about it a lot too, because she's really good at graphics, and this kind of what she does professionally. And she was like, you need to be in front of the camera more. And I'm like, I don't like people pointing cameras at me.
These are far enough away.
Yeah, no, these are, I mean, I
did suggest that we start doing more of these together.
100%.
You
got my approval
over there.
You have her approval.
Well, my wife's over here and I have hers. So I think we're both in pretty good hands. Are there any other questions? Okay. Can we get the mic? I'm sorry. Just in case we want to get better audio. Yeah,
it's for the audio.
Because my voice is loud enough.
You got a great voice.
My name is Coach Andre, and I'm here in Houston. My question to you is in reference to storytelling. How do you do a good job of remembering your stories? Like, do you journal? Do you have a system to remember the things that you've been through, those experiences, or is it all from memory?
That's a great question.
For me, it's memory. I just, it's almost like I can see them, I can envision when I was there. And I think that's just a personal thing. I don't really write anything down. I just do it off sheer memory.
Yeah, and they come to you when you need them too. And it probably depends. I mean, I think for content purposes, it is good. And I do have a system. So what I do now is with my
professional.
With my Claude AI, I have a system set up. I built a prompt. I call it a brain dump. I may be able to, Bob maybe can help me share this with you if you guys wanted it, but it's a brain dump prompt system where I go and I say, okay, Claude, I'm just gonna brain dump to you. This is a thought that I had. I haven't thought through it yet, but I will think through it live in real time. And what the AI is able to do through the transcription is take that and kind of put it into a clearer thought for me. And it saves me the time where in the past I would sit there and I'd write a first draft. I'd sleep on it. I'd wake up the next day, I'd read it again, right? And you go through these iterations and it allows you to go through that process a lot quicker. And then what it does is it automatically sticks it in my Notion database, which is a piece of software I have that keeps in my notes. So when it comes time to write newsletters, I say, what do I have from recent brain dumps that I may want to write about this week? And it'll spit out a list and it'll go, oh, here's your video taste versus value that you spit out the other day. Here's sometimes I'm lecturing our 17-year-old son on the way to school and I go, you know what? There's a lesson in there for business somewhere. Let me brain dump it. And the thoughts are so disorganized, I promise. Yeah.
It's funny seeing you say you do it like this because I've been in the newsroom. Before I even knew how it worked, I would be in the newsroom and OC is like, all right, man, I got to run. I got to go write these stories for tomorrow. And I'm like, you got to write? Hold on. I said, you going to get, and he's like, I'm going to go to his office and he's sitting on the computer just like that. And I'm sitting there like snacking, eating chips and like talking to him while he's doing it. I know he's like, I wish he shut the hell up.
Give me a chip.
He's like writing the story like, all right, now I got to go get my makeup done, but then I'm going to go do the stories from today that I did yesterday. I'm like, this is a lot more work than you
It
just
is,
did.
it's a lot. And you know what's funny? This is the first time we've ever done camera together where I don't have makeup on. It's in my bag.
See, you don't need it, bro. You natural. You a natural beauty.
Honey, am I okay?
A baddie.
Okay. My wife says I'm good. What other question?
Oh, and one more question. I'm sure this is the question that everybody in the room has. And I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Right. So if you watch Owen after 20 years, he's got over 27 million likes and over 1 million followers. Right. And we all know, right? Social media these days is the name of the game. And so everybody wants to do social media, but everybody's like, social media is hard. So two-parter. First for you, when you think about social media and you talked about the hook, you talked about that for a second, how does someone actually put together something in the first half a second or second to get the hook?
I'll give you, hopefully this is an easy trick because it makes sense to me. Hopefully it will to you. And I'll be glad to answer any follow-ups. You tape the end. You take that thing that closes out the movie, that last hit of the song, that crescendo, whatever that big moment is, and you put it first. Yeah. And then you just backtrack into it. And that's the simplest trick I think I can offer. Is that?
It is. And then this is the second part of the how, because I think, again, everybody in the room has the same thing of how do they get your stats? How do they get that success? What are the tools? I know you talked about Notion. I know you talked about Claude. But what are the tools that you're actually using on video to be able to put out that level of content that gets that level of engagement?
So I think the difference there, you're talking about the tech stack versus how we personally do it. And this is where you and I have this in common. I think it's just learning to be yourself in whatever scenario. And to be fair, I struggle with that more now than I did on television because with news, you have a script.
Yeah, and it's produced.
Now, the producers will tell you I never read half of them, but right, there's a lot of ad-libbing going on. But there's a script. You're selling one thing in particular, and it's not necessarily you, but you guys, I know, us together now, we are selling ourselves. And that's, for me, the hardest thing, and maybe for some of you, and believe me, just because I was on television for 20 years, doesn't make it easy. I didn't talk about myself. So I know that's difficult.
We
You just
definitely
gotta get
talked
over the
about that
hump,
too.
right?
We definitely talked about that. He was like, I never had to talk about myself. And it's produced. You kind of just, when you just you kind of just freestyling. But I think sometimes I think it's just reps, right? Continue to get reps, continue to just try different things because the content is going to come from that. You just continue to just put it out every day, put it out every day, put it out every day, or on a schedule, how many ever times a week you're going to do it. I think that's where the viral clips come from.
The reps. But I mean, it goes back to preparing for football, preparing for any career. How many times can we, right? With every mortgage phone call, you got a little better, you got a little smarter about it.
Yep.
It's the same
Like
thing.
I just showed you, we were just sitting here right as it started. I'm getting a text. It's like, hey, I put my I filled my application out last night, and I'm like, all right, I'm here filming, but I'll make sure to get your pre-approval for when I'm on the way home.
Got to keep working.
It never stopped.
And by the way, if you don't want to be on camera, I mean, this is why with the Real Edge Network we love, because some of the tools that Bob started building really send us down the AI.
We could just blur them out like cops, like put the bad boys. Yeah, you put the little cops blurry thing.
Or we do an AI. You could be anybody. You could be anybody you want. That helped? Did that answer?
Good. And any more specific tools that you're using to put videos together and splice videos in?
I mean, for me, I still use, in terms of the technical tool, is Video Leap. I still love it. I think it's a simple editor. I know a lot of people have had success with CapCut, I think is another good one, right? You like that, Coach? There are a lot of them. I think it's a matter of finding one that works for you and familiarizing yourself. None of them are so intuitive that if you've never done it, you're just going to get it. It is going to take a little time, I think. Do you agree?
Or, I mean, you can get a wife who knows how to use it, but I just dump the videos and say, can you edit this for me? Cool. I'm going to play golf.
See,
Send me a couple options, whatever you think is the best option.
so marrying right is the first.
That's
and
100.
then
You think,
everything else falls into place.
you think I just close deals by myself? I bring my wife with me everywhere.
Well, she's a golfer too.
Yeah, she is. Right. She's a golfer too. Yeah, right. That's why it's kind of cheating. All my friends are like, "Oh, it's not fair. Your wife plays golf." Well, your wife should have been a basketball player. She wants to compete, and she can get a little. Y'all see, she looks very soft and beautiful. She can get, if y'all see her on a golf course, there's a lot of times I'm like, don't slam the club. She's like, and I'm like, do not slam the club because I can't go get you another $400 driver tomorrow.
Once a competitor, always.
It doesn't stop
And
at
golf
my
is
house.
that kind of sport because you're playing against yourself all the
Yes.
time. You
No.
just want to.
Unless you got a skins game going with one of your buddies in the group chat for $100, and then it can get real sticky. And it ain't just you.
Then
It's
you
not
are counting their score.
100%. 100%. I need to see everything. Go ahead. I want to see it. Don't move it. Don't fluff it. Don't roll it. And I need to see it go in the cup.
No foot wedge.
No gimmies. Yeah. Because we were playing it. Owen was like, man, pull it out. I'm like, because I have to, when I go play outside of my group, I have to play like we would play so I don't get used to playing a casual way like everybody else does. Like, I'll pick it up. And I'm like, finishing my putt out.
We got to go. Pick it up. No. That'd be official. What other questions we got? Anything else?
I've got a quick one going back to the technical aspect of it. How much time do you spend on going back to the technical part of it? How much time do you spend on your A-roll? I'll call it. I don't know if that's the actual name
Yeah,
for
we
it.
could do it. Yeah.
B-roll and then post-production. And do you contract that out? Do you do it yourself? Does your wife help you with it?
Well, she helps me with ideas for sure. We're creative. We bounce ideas off each other all the time. For me, personally, it depends on the video. So I'm trying to think of like an average amount of time. These days, because of what I said before, which is getting comfortable telling my own story, I think that last video I did I did like 4 takes, which is stupid. But like I couldn't figure out how to just say it without a script. So admittedly, it's probably a couple of hours of shooting, and then but ultimately it's to have the vision first is going to help you the most, because if you know what the A-roll and B-roll are, then you can spend the least amount of time doing them. And sometimes the B-roll doesn't have to be as complicated. What I try to do is like with our stuff, grab a picture when you can, grab some graphics. Things are moving so quickly that years ago we would have said, oh, this B-roll has to be beautiful and like all of this has to be lit perfectly. But the tolerance for just any video is fine. It's like, what are you saying and what am I seeing, right? And we'll get through it.
Right. It's can people pick up what you're putting down, right? And I think a lot of times in the recording or the capturing of content is you want to stop and start and stop and start. Just press the record button and just go. And then edit from there. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what you might get from those in and out takes. My wife has videos of me singing Bad Bunny after the Super Bowl that just I didn't even know she's shooting it, joking around the house, and then posted on TikTok, and 20-something thousand people later. It's like you just don't know. And the joke is because I was told when the Super Bowl was coming up, I'm like, I don't know no Bad Bunny songs. I don't know nothing about Bad Bunny. And then the show the show starts, and I'm singing like every song. I said, all these songs are Bad Bunny. I didn't even know I like Bad Bunny this much. And so it's a video of me in our hallway doing the bachata singing Bad Bunny, and she's like, and she's recording. I don't even know she's recording, and then she sends it to me. But you just don't know. Just put the camera on.
And that's a be yourself moment right there, if I've ever heard of one.
Yeah, just put the press play on it and do what you do.
And in terms of time, because I know you were kind of focused on the time part of it, I just say, like so many things, creativity expands and contracts with, if you've got an hour, just use the hour and knock it out, and don't worry about that it's not perfect. If you've got 3 or 4 hours and you want to spend some extra time and get that extra shot, go for it.
It seems like the post-production takes a lot of time. Well, for me, it takes a lot of time.
Have you ever edited before, or is that like?
No.
Yeah, okay.
You should use AI. Find an AI tool to edit your stuff. Tell it the prompts, tell it what you want it to do, and let the AI edit your videos. And just be hands off. You got to use the Allen Iverson.
Good suggestion.
There are some tools that will do that for you, and you know, we can certainly get you some leads in that direction. And I think also an idea for you guys, maybe this hybrid model that I like, especially for me, because I have shot for so long video, but I don't necessarily like editing. And you can shoot a bunch of stuff and pass it off to an editor, which will help your process. Then you could focus on the parts that are really important for you, which is coming across naturally, authentically, saying the message that you want. And if it's scripted, it's easy to hand off to someone who can just cut it up. The editors are really fast these days. Yeah, my pleasure.
Well, one build on that. Owen, obviously, this is fantastic. I love it when you have a professional who spent decades in an industry saying that you've got 4 takes to get something right for social media, right? What does that think about for the rest of us?
Right.
Now, obviously, this is the hardest thing because, again, I think everybody here wants to know how, right? How to get this. So, obviously, you talked about authenticity. You talked about the hook. What are the best cheats or hacks that you all have of how to be authentic on video at the start from a guy that does 4 takes?
For a guy that does 4 takes, I start with I start with words that have nothing to do with the script, and it's a little voiceover trick that I've used for years when it comes to reading a commercial, because so many times a commercial starts with introducing the all new, right? It's just some word that nobody would ever come up to you and say. So I have a couple of like trick words that I say. Like I'll just pretend like Hawk would be in the room with me. I say, man, I can't wait to tell you about. So I've been, and that first word. So I have I've been thinking, or I just can't get over how much I love, and then I start. And that helps me kind of kickstart, because that first word can be a real, I don't know how to describe it. Is that helpful, Bob?
It is one other thing that you mentioned there that I think may be helpful to go through is, right, people here are like, oh, should social media be alone, right? Should I be in my basement making a film? Or what I heard you say here is, hey, I pretend I'm talking to Hawk. What do I do? How do you balance that between what you shoot with other people and then what you do alone?
That's a good question. I think like Holly and I had this experience recently. We had never shot a video together, and we sat down, and it was like the way you and I worked together. We'd known each other 10 years. This was our first video. So who's saying what? When are they saying it, right? And like learning, sometimes, honestly, I think a great way to do it, especially if you're not comfortable, is to go with a friend and interview each other. Because there's no harm, no foul. If you hate it, don't post it. But to Hawk's point, post it. Post it, right? Take the clips and post it. And just go to each other's neighborhoods. Like, okay, you work Memorial, you work the Heights. We're going to go to both neighborhoods today. You interview your friend, and then you both have content, and you both got reps. And you could do it with somebody you trust. I think that's a great way to do it.
Okay, so here's also what I love. Again, this is where I think most people are, is this. They say, I know I should be on social media. I know I should have followers. I know I should have likes. I know I should have engagement, but I don't know how. So I look at a guy that's got, 30 million likes and be like, what are you doing? Specifically, can you talk about what is the prep that you did for this so people have a frame of reference for like what's reasonable and then the mechanics of how to prep?
Well, the prep for this was different too, because of what we're trying to do here, which is bring all of us together, record a podcast. We've got the residences at the Allen here, where it was so nice to host. This is an incredible building.
Phenomenal building.
Right? We've got our sponsors. Hawk decided to show up. There was a lot of prep for this, and probably the least of which was the content part, because I think the fun is being able to interact with you guys whenever possible.
And if you build on that, and again, in terms of the session, how much post-production, I think that was Justin's question,
Yep.
right? What is your expectation for something like this of what you're going to look like for post-production so people have a sense of how to block time, how to block it on their calendar, and how to think about it?
I think we're going to send this to the editor. This is going to be definitely a demo run with our editor, Bill Carruthers, and we're going to say, Bill, take this and chop it up.
Bill is the guy sitting in the basement by himself.
He's right.
That's the editors are the people who you think those are the in the basement people. They got headphones on. They don't want to hear from their kids. They're while everybody's out at school. They're like turning into like psychos on the computer or something. You should pretty kind of cool to see.
Well, here's what I love.
They say that I use the hybrid model. I mentioned it just because I do use it myself.
Well, here's what I love that you went through it, even if it's virtual, is right. You outlined the team, right? A team to put together the event, a team to quarterback it, a team to be able to bring things together, a team to be able to speak together, a team for the editor. When you think about building your team, or both of you think about building your team, what's the linchpin, or like where do you really start?
Knowing what your strengths are, what you're willing to tolerate to do, and also what your capacity is, right? I'm not an editor. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to shoot and what to shoot it in, but I know people that know how to do it. So you go get the best people available for your network. Not saying you're going to have access to Owen, and Uncle Richard, but you could. You do now. But having or asking questions to people who know how to do what it is that you're trying to accomplish, right? Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to reach out to your network. And another thing I would say too about the content, whether you have 300 followers or 3 million, you only need that one deal. You need to affect one person. And so I think that's where the misconception is that you need the mass of, thousands and thousands of impressions when you just need one person who's looking to purchase.
All right. And
Or looking to sell or whatever it is they're looking to do, looking to get cabinets done. And say Owen posts something, it might get 200 views, but somebody is calling because they need a whole kitchen restoration. It only takes that one person.
being your authentic self.
Being your authentic
That's
self.
where it comes through. 'Cause
Yeah.
you connect with people.
One of the things as you build on your team is I've heard you both mentioned AI a lot, and I love that because Ray can do it. When you think about what you want out of a human set of teams versus what you want as an AI set of teams, where do you feel you are now?
I think that's a great balance. I think you got to have both. I think it's true behind the scenes and it's true when it's forward facing because we can use AI to create content to help us produce. There's a tool that I built that helps come up with ideas, right? A lot of times you're like, I don't even know what to shoot. So you go in, you type in your zip code and it'll spit out like 6 ideas. And you go, oh, that's actually not bad. Let me see if I can take one and use it. Because sometimes just getting started, but so there's the AI part, but then there's just the collaborative nature of what I said before. Like if you guys can get together, there's nothing like two minds being in the room because unless you program your Claude Markdown file or whatever, it's going to start with a memory that you give it, but it still needs to be told where to go. And that's why that collaborative effort is so important.
Right. And another thing too, as far as the marketing piece and the content pieces, do things that you naturally like doing, right? So if you like to go play tennis, post a video of the tennis, but you can do a voiceover about properties that you have available or services that you have available and incorporate your hobbies into your work because the hobbies are going to have connectivity from people that have those similar hobbies, but again, they might also need real estate and construction services.
Brilliant.
That feels
And
really
he's Hawk's really good.
You can you can make a video of playing tennis at Memorial Park, and I guarantee you there's somebody that plays tennis at Memorial Park that wants to buy a $2.8 million condo. Just being honest.
Yeah. Good. We got any other questions? Yeah.
I don't know. I did better than that.
That's okay. I'll take it.
So a lot of this has been around digital trust, building trust digitally, which is huge, obviously, in today's world. As agents, we have to build trust in person because we meet a client for the first time and they have to trust us as we may not see them again the second time, right? So that third of a second that you mentioned, as salespeople, we are told to listen more than speak more. So I try to listen to my client and connect with them at that moment more than speaking about myself because half the times they've looked us up already. They know us. We don't really know them. So we try to get to know them and build trust that way. So I don't know if you guys have other tips. I mean, your new careers versus your old careers. We've trusted you guys watching you on television, but now you have face-to-face engagement with your clients in this new arena that you're operating in. So just give us some tips on how you're building that trust on a face-to-face level and what we can do to enhance this in the first thirds of a second, if that makes any sense. Sorry.
That's a great question. Do you have something you want to?
Just I would say, in that first in that first initial piece is to give information based off your experiences, right? To build upon what it is you hear most, whether it be positive or negative things, like when you're dealing with prospective real estate clients, like what are as a whole, because everybody's not gonna have the same needs, but there may be 60% of your clients that have the initial same need, and then I will go to attack those things first. So if it's like, if you're looking for a place where you got better school districts, or, if you're looking for a place that's walkable in the city, because you have people who migrate here from other places and they want more of a metropolitan lifestyle where they can walk and go get food, or there's parks, or you may want to have a country style lifestyle. And I would say whatever you feel like the main thing that you hear, I would address that in that first little clip to grab people's attention.
And you speaking in person too, right? I mean, that's kind of I think for me, where at least I feel like I get strength and I add to the credibility, goes back to what Bob was saying, which is the team. So for me specifically, being part of the Real Edge Network with Bob and Paige and Holly gives me strength because of the tools that I know I have behind me. So even though my time in terms of experience may be limited, I'm being propped up by a team that has been doing this forever. And news was a team, football's a team. They're all team sports, and it is kind of weird because you have this one-on-one that you have to make with every client. It's like, well, this is a different way of thinking of real estate. Maybe it's not as competitive as it used to be. Maybe it needs to be more supportive. Maybe there needs to be more collaboration. I mean, Holly and I trying to co-list properties together where we can use our strengths appropriately to help each other. It seems like there's a lot of upside there that we're just starting to explore. I wish I had a better answer, but I think that's kind of the direction I'm certainly going in.
Thank you so much for
Awesome.
our first jam session podcast.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for
Thank you
being
so
here,
much.
everyone. We appreciate your
you.
time.
Absolutely.